What we do is decarbonizing marine transport. Started with small boat and make it electric. When you're setting up a hardware product, the challenge is to get that product market fit, and then so difficult to enter a space where it is the scale of the product itself needs to be there to achieve the economics. But we realize that achieving technology is different, achieving economics is different, right? And both may not go together. Entrepreneurs overestimate their probability of success. I knew that I had to do something of my own, had to do back in Kerala. It was just a question of when. So what we do is like decarbonizing marine transport. So what we try to do is started with small boats and make it electric with an ultimate goal and vision to achieve a cleaner and quieter ocean, which is our broad vision. So we started with boats and public transport boat as an object. So it might sound very counterintuitive that we start with a large one to begin with, because when we are setting up a hardware startup or when we are setting up a hardware product, the challenge is to get that product market fit, and then so difficult to enter a space where it is the scale of the product itself needs to be there to achieve the economics, right? So prior to starting NavAlt, we had done some experiments on smaller boats in like tourism boat or even fishing boat. That was like to test the idea or to see if there is a product market fit. But we realized that achieving technology is different, achieving economics is different, right? And both may not go together. And typical engineers,
You had an IIT degree
yes.
and you have an MBA from the same school instead. Did both those degrees help you get the product market fit faster?
I don't know. For IIT for sure helped me design good boats for sure. And the experience of post IIT in Korea, Japan, etc. Gave the technical know-how. An MBA for sure gave me the confidence and the skill set required to run a company.
Tell us something about studying naval architecture at IIT, because it's not a conventional engineering choice, right? It's a slightly left wing. Most people would do com science or mechanical, electrical. Like, how was studying? Like, what was naval architecture about? What did they teach you?
So naval arch, it is all about learning how to design and build ships. And in our time, as you said about Chomsky, and in my batch of, at least I'm hoping my friends who are of my IT batch who are listening would realize that most of the two extreme branches, which is Chomsky, the JE rank closes at 50, IIT Madras. And the other extreme are these naval arch, civil, meta, and other guys, right? So who are like 1,000 odd. So these are the two branches who are the most less oriented towards academics, I would say, relatively. IIT is always, there is a lot of competition, stress, etc. But these two extreme branches were more interested in sports, culture, and other things, apart from the regular acad. So when I say this, it's not that the typical college that there is no acads. That's not the case. But based on IIT standards, the difference was very stark. And yes, there were a lot of things I would learn from the IIT exposure, even though I say that a lot of my effort was in learning many other soft skills in a good environment, right? So both INSEAD and IIT give you that good environment. So acads is one part, but it also gives you the exposure to the best brains in the country in case of IIT and in the world in case of INSEAD with that background extra. So that gives you very humbling experience for me. At least that was for me. So when you are from a small place, so I was from VSSC Central School, right? So in that small cocoon, you tend to think that somehow you're a top.
Yeah.
You go to IIT, you realize that everyone there is a top
School
from there
topper,
on.
yeah.
So then you realize, and then when you meet some of the brilliant minds in computer science guys, you realize, okay, the way they think are totally different. So it's the same. So that was for me the big learning experience in both these institutions. For sure, IIT gave me the framework for letting me practice the subject I studied and then proceed on to that and make a career and make an impact.
How was it working in Korea and Japan? I know there are pinnacles in terms of shipbuilding in those days, but how was it culturally for you to go and work in these markets where you don't know the native language and you have to prove the fact that, hey, listen, I'm coming from India, but I still know naval art and understand stuff. Must have been very difficult, right?
So, language, yes, for sure, for interacting with them, local language is important, but functionally, English was sufficient to manage many of the things. But there are some distinct cultural difference between India and Korea, Japan. Korea, Japan is more or less similar in at least the shipbuilding part. That is what I know. So, if you want to get something done by the people who build, and you're very clear what to do, that is a place to do because they will follow exactly what you the orders. Right? So, if it's a working class, working workers, you have a document saying what you need to do. It will be followed, and the culture of the work culture is also, if it's 8 o'clock work means 7:45 they are already warming up and getting, that's the culture there. So it's a very different. In India, if you don't know exactly what to do and you want to trying to figure out, India is better because Indian workers, it's a inherent. If you are lazy, you may come up with a better way. Okay, that is what I feel like. So if you
So Jugaad has been over glorified a little bit.
Jugaad, I am also not very great fan of Jugaad, but you will try to figure out a solution. Indian workers, I think, are a bit more smarter in that sense. They are not so. It's like they are not process oriented. They are like Korean people. They just follow the orders, get what you want. But if you are not figured out what to do, you are trying at options. I think Indian people are better. So if you are more into R&D, but the reason why we lack in R&D is a different reason. There's no funding. That is a different. I'm saying from a cultural framework, I think it's better that our kind of, we always find solutions. But I don't believe Jugaad as a good lasting solution because it's a temporary solution.
Yeah, you're not striving towards perfection, excellence, right? You're cutting corners.
Yeah, you're cutting corners. So temporarily, okay, but you need to spend time on alternative viewpoints, solutions. There, I think Indian mindset is good, but unfortunately, the ecosystem or other things are missing in terms of R&D and other things. So I find that there's a big difference between Korea, Japan versus India, and they're very strong in that. Planning is strong. Why they're able to do even with high labor cost? Korea is supposed.
Which years you were in Korea and Japan?
2001 to 2006.
Usually, when we think about shipbuilding, of course, it is heavy engineering, and we also think of it as very high tech. It's not something like making shoes or making garments, something that China has done to a great extent. But in your opinion, is shipbuilding, does it also require very high precision, very high level of engineering, or is it more like low tech but heavy engineering, big scale, but technology is not very.
So
It's not like building a 747 or a A380.
Not building like
In terms of the number of parts and all that, it's not that complicated, right?
ships again, probably you have to classify maybe in two groups. One are very simple vessels like a bulk carrier, tanker, even to extent container. These are simpler vessels, which may fit into more or less what you said of easy to build category with less technology play. But the technology play comes in when the same vessel is much bigger, like container 20,000 TU, which is the world's largest container, 24,000 TU. These are really massive vessels. There you have lot different problems and different technology play. But by and large, these are three group of vessels which are 70-80% of the commercial ships, which are low technology. Then there are a second group of vessels which are LNG and other or offshore vessels, complex vessels. It needs very strong technology play for construction. But in both of this, there is another layer of technology play in terms of systems and equipments, machinery, right? So as a shipyard, you may choose not to venture into that part of it, technology play, by making sure that you import those components and build. Like China, when they started out, they would have started with all the machinery and equipment systems from Europe and Korea, Japan, and just build that low-tech vessel. Start with bulk
Just
carrier
assembling
tanker.
it.
Just assembly. Exactly what most of our shipyards in India.
Yeah, like the knockdown kits for cars.
Knockdown kit, again, you assume that something is coming for the building. I'm just saying the systems you're importing, components, but you build the steel and everything locally. So that's the starting path, even for China. So even when that's when the shift was happening, Korea shipyards were very wary of the drawings and other things going out.
The blueprints going out,
Yeah,
basically.
blueprints going out. But that was happening. Obviously, there must be some other incentives and play at work. People were shifting the knowledge and other things. So the path followed by many shipyards is start this way. Just build the low-tech vessels. Only build the vessel, not the systems. Then go to complex vessels in one direction. Also the system-wise in parallel. So Indian shipyards, at best they are doing the other ways and just going up by the complex vessels but not system side. So there is no effort in building the systems and machineries in India by the Indian shipyards for sure. But there are certain vendors who are trying to do indigenization and other things. But largely Navy is driving that. Navy is incentivizing people to build this core technology. We have seen the experience in the latest, whatever the war we had with Pakistan, where the importance of indigenous technology was very clear. By definition, entrepreneurs overestimate their probability of success.
Absolutely.
And which means that you tend to like what Steve Jobs said, right, a distorted sense of reality, right? So you tend to think that all that failures of others is not going to happen to you. So which means you are overestimating your probability of success. So
We always think it wouldn't happen to us.
yes, so we are always above average. We don't form the average.
So if everyone is above average, who is average? Yeah, correct.
So this,
Then that's when the ego goes for a toss later after you just start.
in a way, that to my mind is also the single biggest characteristic of an entrepreneur. So that is why a person like entrepreneur X is that you jump into something which the probability is less than 10% for you to
Navigating the oblivion.
a year. You still do it. And in my case, so these things frankly, I wouldn't have evaluated all the scenarios to take a call. I knew that I had to do something of my own. Had to do back in Kerala. It was just question of when.
But why Kerala?
Just to do something in India and back home. This is my only thought process. Even when I was IIT,
Back from INSEAD, when was that?
2007-8.
7-8 you came back from INSEAD and then you thought I'll build something in Kerala. That was
Correct. So even at IIT days in fourth year, at least I was very clear I need to own a boat yard. That was very clear.
That was pretty good.
not a shipyard.
I didn't think at that time. So it's all like how your vision is based on what you are exposed to, etc. Right? So
That is incredible. I mean, I don't think any of my classmates who went to IIT, Madras or other places, they never thought of owning a software company or owning a product company. But here you're saying that you were in IIT and you wanted to own a boat yard.
Most people want to own a boat, not a boatyard.
Well, most of my classmates just wanted to go to the US, do an MS, and then wanted to work with Microsoft or Oracle or one of those companies.
I'm hopeful that all those people you mentioned who want to own a boat, they will be our client.
Yeah, there'll be his slides. That's perfect.
That is the expectation. So this thought process is there. Yeah.
It's a brilliant parting thought, but I thank you again for being here, sharing those lovely insights with us. Again, today we are in a special place. We're hosting you in Kochi, your hometown. Thanks to the wonderful people at Recca. And I know a lot of my friends who are ex-REC alumni would love the fact that we are in Recca. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.